Alright, what's going on, boys? It's Joe. This is going to be a little bit of an introduction to a new series that isn't going to be typical to the normal gaming content that I predominantly utilize. So what I'm doing in this series is, you could even say, following the life of an average Joe. Kick W. But I've decided to train for a marathon. I don't think it's a secret. I talk about it on the stream all the time. I live in California. I'm going to the San Francisco Marathon, hopefully 6 months from now, around about. And my goal is to be able to, number one, complete it, and number two, just be satisfied with the outcome of it. As far as timing, I don't really care. You can tell I'm not really a runner of sorts. I'm a gamer true and true. I go to the gym and I work out, but I don't really do endurance running. So this is gonna be a new thing for me. You're probably sitting there going, "Bro, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is a lot of work that you don't seem like you do on a regular basis, regardless of any outlying motives." I'm not gonna go super big into detail, but I was in the hospital a year ago, almost to the date. It was pretty eye-opening for me. I'm not gonna say I won't talk about it, but it's not really the place for this video. But it was pretty downtime in my life, so I've decided that while I'm young and able to do things, I'm just gonna go do them. So this is gonna be the first step in hopefully multiple physical challenges that I hope to complete over the next 5, 10 plus years. Gonna get into that. We're gonna break the series down idealistically into a weekly format. I'm just gonna go over a little recap. I'm gonna include hopefully a little footage, and I say I as if I'm doing any of the work here. Jake's gonna include hopefully some footage from the runs each week. I'll kind of reference, I'll brief, this is what I struggled with, this is what I noticed improvements on, and just kind of following along with my training on a week-to-week basis. Predominantly, it's going to be for self-reflection, but I figured it'd be a cool series to do so that I can also share it with other people, because it can be down and difficult. I'll say a day-to-day routine. This week was a little off because I took a little more rest time from the gym itself, doing weightlifting. I do stereotypically bodybuilding weightlifting format, push, pull, legs, split 6 days a week, which I have a personal trainer who organizes all of that. He's making me a new training schedule, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And that's kind of what I do on day to day. You notice I specifically don't have, most people will do cardio in the mornings or in the afternoons. I traditionally did not do that. I was an athlete 10 or 15 years ago. I have not ran since then. And when I was an athlete, I was very task-orientated cardio. So, you're playing baseball, your task is to run the bases. Your task is to run a ball down. Your task isn't to run cross-country 60,000 miles a day. So it's going to be very different to me. It's going to really shift how I function on a weekly basis, and especially a daily basis. You also notice I'm wearing a hat. Yeah, I'm a Braves fan. Deal with it. I'm a huge baseball watcher. Love baseball. I watch pretty much every game of the Braves season, whether they're in the playoffs or not. This year was disappointing, but I figured since we're doing a little bit of an IRL type thing, you'll notice a lot of the time in the GoPro, I'm sure my hat tips down. You can see the bottom of my hats. I don't specifically wear this one. This is my nice walking out hat, going out with the boys hat. I have probably 30 or 40 baseball hats, completely unrelated to the video at all, actually, but I have about 30 or 40 different baseball hats that I just alternate which ones I wear. Most of them are obviously Braves, because I'm a Braves guy, but, every stadium I've been to, I've got a hat from that team. Figured I'd keep it kind of on par since it's an IRL video. It's the reasoning for wearing the baseball hat, because I usually don't do this on stream. I only wear it when I go out, but every time I go out I wear it, so figured I'd include the what's with the hat. And yes, this is a All-Star. It's on this side. It is an All-Star hat from this year. My wife got it for me. So, yay me for having a supportive wife. But more to the point, we're going to get into a little bit of recap now. So I'm sure you guys will notice, this is the first week of official training for the marathon. And that comes with a lot of training difficulties because, as I previously stated, I may traditionally go to the gym, do my bodybuilding split. It takes about 45 to 60 minutes depending on what I'm doing that day. Maybe a little bit longer if it's a training day and me and Marco are yapping. Marco is the name of my trainer. Maybe a little bit longer if we're yapping, or if I see a couple guys at the gym and I yap a little bit. But I'm more of a go, get my workout done, and then if someone wants to talk after, down for that. But however, that is going to mean a big change up for me. So instead of just doing my 45 to 60 minute workout every day in the mornings, I'm now going to have an additional probably multi-hour run most days. Well, idealistically, it won't be multi-hour because I should be running, pretty quick miles by the end of this. But for now, it's going to be a little bit of a longer, almost 30 to 40 minute workouts a day pretty much, because I'm not a long distance runner. This is a new thing for me. So that's a big struggle for me. Another big struggle is I don't have great ankle mobility. And as you can imagine, your ankles being flexible and loose and nimble and able to constantly go up and down and flex is kind of important when running because your ankle moves nonstop. A little bit that's due in part to just lack of use. A little bit that's due in part to there's a million different reasons I can go into that I'm not specifically going into here because every person is going to have different difficulties with different areas for different reasons. For me, it's just one that I know is going to be a big problem, and it's already showing its head. Because basically what happens is I start running, my ankle gets tight, or actually my calf gets tight, which tightens my ankle up and my knee up. The two joints that are attached to your calf, or your calf attaches to, or is around. I'm not a scientist, so don't, quote me on any of this, but it's just not great. It is getting better already, though, even after only 3 days. So on day 1, it was a pretty lax, just baseline mile run. Get it going, get after it, see where I'm at, and I think it was around about 12 minutes. I think I may have flashed the screen with the statistics on that on my watch very, very briefly, so if we're lucky, Jake can get a flash freeze frame of that. Throw on the screen. It was around 12 and a half minutes or so, though, which for the first time running in over a year, this is not necessarily bad, I don't guess. However, when I was a kid and I was an athlete, I was able to run 7 or 8 mile. Even in college, which is about 4 years ago, I was able to run, I think it was 10 or 9 minute mile. So, granted, it's a little different running on a trail, even though it's a very nice paved trail than it is running around the track at college. So, different difficulties come from that. But still a little disappointing to me, because I had higher expectations, and it just means the ceiling's a little further away than I expected, which means it's going to be that more rewarding when I can get to that point. So the big struggles really were just my legs aren't used to running. I'm not used to running in general, so I'm building up that stamina and that endurance. A lot of people think, oh, you got to get your cardiovascular system going. My cardio is definitely, my heart and all that definitely could improve and is going to improve from this. But right now the limiting factor is unironically my legs just aren't used to running because I haven't been used to running so long. So getting my legs trained up, I can leg press and squat and do all that kind of stuff with heavy weight, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just jump straight into running. And it's kind of disappointing to me because I'm still young enough in my mid to late 20s where I remember 10 years ago I could just do whatever I wanted without really training for it. So it's a little bit different to me, kind of realizing that I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20. The good parts here are that internally I feel my systems are better. I feel more alert. It's really ironic I'm expending more energy on a day-to-day basis, but I'll also feel more energetic in the mornings. I feel better moving. It's not quite as hard to get out of bed. It's not quite as hard to get going and orient the tasks for the day. It's a little interesting thing to me, and it's only been a week, so maybe I have a different tune in a month. But after week one's completion, it feels pretty good. The body is moving. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling limber. Feeling more energetic. It's nice. Nice to be able to move again. So kind of recapping again. Like I said, day one was not too bad. Just a mile, 12 and a half minutes. Unfortunately, though, going back to the building off of the calf soreness and the limitations of not running for over a year, I hit day 2 and my calf was cooked. So it was supposed to be a 3-mile run, like soft, like, and I say run like jog. It's supposed to be a very, very light jog. And then, day 2 is supposed to be a 3-mile run. Ended up being a walk though, just because my calf was so sore and my knee was a little tight. I didn't want to injure myself to create more issues than resolutions. So I just took that as a sign that it was a good time to just walk hard for 3 miles. Not like, speed running, like, professional speed running, anything like that, or speed walking, but just intentionally walking and making sure to flex my calves out, my legs, stretch them out, get them moving. Took the massage gun to them a little bit after, so getting everything nice and loose and limber again. So then the next day I would have had a rest day, and then actually the day I'm recording this would have been day 3, or day 3 of training. Technically it's Friday, so I only did 3 days of training this week according to the program, and I'll talk about that program here in just a second. But day 3 was it was the eye opener. I'm gonna put it that way. Today I was really fired up to go running. 2-mile run, nothing bad. And again, I say run loosely. It's supposed to be like a lighter, just move around. But probably got through about a third of the first mile, and my calf just tightened up. So you're gonna notice a common trend there. I'm used to just jumping into things and doing them. Very minimal stretching, not a lot of warm-ups. I do for the gym, but for running, to me, running is just like you just go do it. And now I'm starting to realize that no, you don't just go run. There's a point to the stretches that you're taught to do. And I'm starting to realize that, which means there's going to be an adaptation in the future, starting next week. Overall, though, it was a pretty solid run, or mostly a walk, to be honest. The first mile, I recorded the first mile and decided not to record the second one because it was very repetitive, and part of the trail that I ran on was closed down for some routine maintenance styled stuff, so I had to go a different route than I normally would have done or been accustomed to, which maybe would have been better, but decided to just record the first mile, and that first mile was intense. Only like 14 minutes on it. Spent a lot of time walking because of the tightness in my leg. Second one was pretty similar. About 14 minutes on that one too. 14 and a half maybe. Can't remember exactly. But that was kind of the real day 1 and 2. I was kind of like, okay, I'm just getting used to it. These couple days will go by. I'll take a rest day like my plan's telling me to. And then I'm going to hit day 3 running. I'm running hard. It's going to be good. Yeah, no. Still need to adapt to. I just need to treat it as if it's a gym workout. I don't go into a thick push day, hit some chests and tries, and not stretch my shoulders out, and warm those up, warm your chest up a little bit, build up to your pivot, your working weight. You don't just walk into the gym and start lifting, the 80-pound dumbbells and a chest press. You start ripping those, right? You build up to that. Or maybe you're massive and that's your warm-up. Who knows? So you build up to whatever your working weight is, though. And I'm kind of realizing if I'm doing that with my chest and my lats and my arms, maybe maybe I start doing that with my calves and lesser extent my hamstrings. I don't notice the hamstrings pain, but I do get tightness in them. As I'm thinking as a result of my calf. I could probably go see a professional about this, and it would make a lot more sense. But until I get to the point where I need to, I'm gonna do the classic me thing and put it off. Spoiler alert. So I ended up in the hospital a year ago. So we'll see how things progress. Besides the point, back on track. That kind of leads us into those 3 days were eye-opening for a lot of reasons. For one, I need to train differently than I did 15 years ago when I was young and able to run straight into something without really caring what happened. I need to actually prepare myself. I need to stretch. I need to warm up and do it intentionally and treat marathon training as if it was part of my weekly bodybuilding training that I do with Marco. So it taught me a lot. And, you're probably thinking, oh, well, that's obvious. Well, it is. You're right. But I'm a learn by doing, and I have learned. Trust me, I have learned. So building off of that, we're going to hit it up with going forward briefly. So week 2 is what to work on. Well, need to work on the things that struggle. So working on building the calves up, and not just the calves. I say the calves, I mean my whole leg from top to bottom. Getting my joints loose, my hips loose, my knee loose, my ankles loose. Stretching my calves, my hams, my quads out. Getting everything limber before I just start taking off. Hit about a third to a half mile and just like dying and crashing because I can't really run anymore because I'm just so tight. And we notice that probably in the first week quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of tightness. A lot of moments where I'm cooking along, and then all of a sudden I just have to stop. So I just legitimately can't run anymore because my leg is just tensed up. And I got to give it a second to work itself out and lock it out. And then I run again. But I go too hard because I'm still not really great at pacing. So those are the big things I want to work on, though, is pacing, which is going to come in on day 1 on Sunday of week 2. It's going to be a huge pacing thing, pacing day. It's going to be 3 miles, but it's going to be kind of a reverse pacing system where you start out really slow and then you build up to a quicker speed where you can still not like going all out, but then that last, I think it's like a quarter or a half mile, you're just like gunning it, like not full sprinting, but you're like breathing heavy, cooking, you're getting there, you're getting after it. And that's going to be like a good, like, okay, this is kind of the pacing that I'm looking at realistically, because it's all about control, consistency, and just getting after it. Other thing to work on, though, is just making sure I stay consistent. I was consistent this week, but traditionally, running and cardio is one of those things where I go, yeah, you should do it. It's good for you. Your heart's important. So I do it for a week or 2, and then I'm just like, nah, F that. I'm done. I ain't doing that. Because to me, I enjoy weights. Weights are more fun to me. But part of being able to lift weights is having a strong cardiovascular system. So, seeing 2 things go hand in hand. Do you need to run a marathon in order to lift heavier weight? Yeah, probably not. Maybe correlation, there might be, but definitely not causation. But, if you do a good 30-40 minutes of cardio a day, your lifts are going to be able to improve because your cardiovascular system is going to hold you back. Your heart is going to be able to maintain performance when you're working out, regardless of what you're doing. So, running is going to help with that. Just staying consistent. Because traditionally, I have a hard time doing that, specifically with the running. So, also, we're looking at probably a new training schedule. For now, we're not going to record the gym sessions because specifically this series is going to focus on the marathon. So there's potential where maybe like every now and then I might see if I can sneak Marco in for like a quick like, hey, what are you seeing, and maybe his input on certain things. But for the most part, it's just going to be strictly me running and then recapping. And then what do I think I could improve on? What do I think went well? and going on from there. So this one might be the longest one, obviously, since I, first one, introducing everything, why I'm doing it, all that. But for the most part, shouldn't be too super bad. Should be pretty fun, enjoyable, and we're going to figure it out as we go. So if you watch this and you're like, hey, I think you should do this, drop a comment. But maybe you get spur some interactive thought and idea on so that I do that. Also, speaking of new training schedule in the gym, we're going to get a new split. It's still going to be push-pull legs, I think. This tends to be my preferred system, and Marco pretty good about adhering to what I like to do while still challenging me with new techniques, new workouts, new ways to think. But so I have a Garmin watch, and that is currently the training program I'm using. Is if you have Garmin, they have the application, and when you download the app and connect your Garmin devices, like I have a Garmin scale that I use for tracking my weight. But Garmin watch, I use a training program there. So it communicates to the app. The app basically has coaches that have default generic training programs that you can use to, well, I say you, I mean like me specifically. I am using that because I don't know anything about running. And I do go to an awesome gym, and there's tons of trainers there. But before I like full commit into like, hey, I'm signed up for a marathon, so I'm holding off to signing up until there we go. I'm confident I can actually complete a mile, let alone 26 consecutively, and say, hey, I'm just gonna follow this, because basically what it does is it gives you just a general, like, this is what you can do to improve running. These are the goals that you should set. These are the days that you should work out. And it takes, basically, it just takes all your information in. You enter in, like, I want to complete this on this date. So you could say I want to do a marathon in 26 weeks. And then you say how often you can run, what days you can do your long runs on. Things like that that are pretty simple. And then it just takes all that information in, and it just slightly alters the general workout plan to kind of suit what your specific needs are. That doesn't mean that's most optimal for your situation, though. So I'm sure if I went up to one of the other trainers at the gym, or even Marco, I'm sure could probably find out for me too. But if I were to do that, then I would probably get a super specific to me training program that would be awesome. But at this point, I don't need that. I'm going to go with the resource I already have. And then maybe in a couple weeks, if I'm like, man, I'm really progressing, I think I want to take this like super, super seriously, we might have another adaptation. So at least for the time being going forward, I'm going to be training. The training in the gym is going to be centered around losing just a little bit of weight. I don't want to lose a ton because now that I'm adding in running and cardio that I'm not used to, I'm about to have like severe caloric burn that I'm not accustomed to every day. So I'm not doing any crazy like Mr. Olympia preparation budget, just going on a slight deficit, calorically, eating a lot of clean greens, clean meat, stuff like that. I shouldn't necessarily say that. I have a protein shake every day, which is kind of processed, but it's theoretically clean, but you never know. It's processed. And then getting my cardio system trained up, and then continuing to try and maintain the strength that I have already so that I don't lose that. So I don't want to lose strength. I want to complete this challenge to say that I did it. It's just different when you have the ability to say no to something because you don't want to do it, and when you think that you don't have the ability to do it anymore. And I was kind of at that point a year ago where I was like, I wasn't sure I was going to have the ability to do that kind of thing anymore. So now that I do, and I know I do, I do it while I can. But yeah, that is all for week 1. It was a bit of a hopefully not super saddening ending there, but we are going to be doing this series. I have no idea what we're going to call it yet. I keep saying the average Joe does a marathon because my name is Joe. I go by Joe. If you guys have any questions, comments, if you want to link up and talk about, hey, how did you get into this, or what, whatever else, or if you're just curious and you want to know about why I was in the hospital. Totally open to it. Gonna leave that for a separate time though. Just jump in the Discord and just hit me up in the general chat or something and just start yapping. I'm a yapper. I'll talk about anything. So for sure, just reach out and I'll be there. Otherwise though, appreciate you guys. I cannot thank the following enough. Even with our small tight knit community, the impact is there, and I appreciate it very deeply. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next week for week 2's recap.
I don't have great ankle mobility due to a lot of reasons, and I'm working on it. Yeah, I did some stretching today, contrary to Tuesday, I think it was. It's still not enough. I need to do like a warm-up walk, I think, next week for about a mile. Maybe a little longer before I even start running, and see if that just loosens everything up. Because basically what I'm getting is, as soon as I run, I can go for about a third of a mile. And I don't know if it's because of how I'm running or what. When my calf gets really, really tight and my ankle locks up, which if I just run on it like I did on Tuesday, then my knee starts getting a lot of tightness, which means I can't really hit the gym like I usually do. And I've been going pretty lax this week. So I'll just have to figure out ways to stretch out. I can feel it getting looser the more I walk on it. So either one, it's in so much pain that I have adrenaline, or two, I have just really, really tight calves or something that just need to be worked out and loosened up. But that being said,